Welcome to the latest episode of Beatin' and Bangin'. I'm your host, Kyle Dalton. In today's video, we're going to discuss multiple stories from the past weekend's races at both Mid-Ohio and Atlanta. I also have some exciting news to share about some upcoming changes on the channel. Before we get to that, let's go back to Friday night's ARCA race in Mid-Ohio. Sean Hingorani is a 16-year-old Toyota development driver. He's been impressive thus far early in his career, winning a couple of times this season in the ARCA West Series. On Friday, in his fourth ARCA Menard's National Series start, he started from the pole alongside Truck Series regular Tyler Ankrum. The youngster was impressive and showed his driving skill, staying up front for most of the race. However, with 14 to go, the driver of the number 15 car made his first mistake. Take a look.
How about an update on the 55 at Dean Thompson, Heather?
Well, we were talking earlier about what spotters that these teams are using, and they have the all-star Penske lineup as far as spotters go for the 55 of Dean Thompson. They have Austin Cindric's spotter of Doug Campbell, who's his regular spotter in the Truck Series. They also have Josh Williams.
The number 55 car making the pass was Venturini Motorsports teammate Dean Thompson. That's important because of what happened on the final lap.
As you see, a little retaliation, a lot of retaliation here.
Contact. Now they're both in the sand trap. Teammates.
As teammates, that's when it gets tricky.
It was an ugly moment. Thompson went over and had an animated conversation with the youngster a few minutes later. On Monday, ARCA showed where it stood on the matter when it announced a one-race suspension for Hingorani and placed him on probation for the rest of the season. Interestingly, that was just the first teammate-on-teammate crime for the weekend at Mid-Ohio. The next day, it happened again in the truck race between ThorSport Racing teammates Ty Majeski and Ben Rhodes. The two drivers had been battling up front all day, and late in the race, they fought hard for second and third position. At one point, Majeski didn't like how things were going and took it to another level.
Until then, they get together.
To both drivers' credit, they battled back. Rhodes finished 5th and Majeski finished 7th. Teammate Matt Crafton finished in between in 6th. But the three-time Truck Series champion apparently wasn't happy with Rhodes about what happened on the last lap and had a heated conversation with him just after the race.
My conversation went like this: calm down, Matt, please calm down. We'll talk later.
I have to admit, conflict in NASCAR is entertaining, but teammate conflict is next level because it always elevates the tension and makes me think about those interesting conversations that occur during the competition meetings a couple of days later after the race. All right, let's move away from the conflicts in Mid-Ohio. Let's move south to Sunday's Cup Series race at Atlanta. As I said following last week's race in Chicago, wow, what a race in Georgia, and what a great follow-up event for those new NASCAR fans who started following after last week's adventure through the streets of the Windy City. I remember back in March that it was an entertaining race that featured comers and goers, and in the end, Joey Logano made a last lap pass on former Penske teammate Brad Keselowski for the win. Logano wasn't a factor at the end of Sunday's rain-shortened race, but he was right there at the front in what many suggested was the best ending to a stage this year. Take a look.
Backstretch for the final time of stage 1.
3 wide,
surge
Rick.
coming out of the 12. Brian Blaney pulling ahead. Larson able to clear the 22. Now, Kyle Larson fighting on the inside. He's got the nose in front as they come to the stripe. Blaney gets back in front of.
And there was more where that came from. A lot more. It was only intensified as the teams and drivers knew they were racing to the approaching rain. In the end, William Byron, who had his own share of problems, overcame adversity and won for the 4th time this season. While there's no denying it was disappointing to have the weather ended early, it's also undeniable what the fans saw was a very entertaining race. The NBC crew, and Dale Jr. in particular, raved about the action and drivers battling on the edge throughout the race. After the race, NASCAR Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip offered some high praise. Waltrip didn't make it clear whether he was talking about all time or just for Atlanta. Regardless, like most fans, he was pleased with the overall product. And like I mentioned earlier, outside of the rain, NASCAR couldn't have been more pleased with the race after building so much momentum the week before in Chicago. There's no doubt it's a good time to be a NASCAR fan. And that brings me to a little update on the channel. As I've said from the beginning, I want to think outside the box with the content I provide and do things a little differently than what you might find on other channels. As you've seen, I've interviewed pit crew members in the past. We'll have more of that in the future, plus additional interviews with other well-known names in the industry. In addition, I'll be posting more videos in the near future and adding a newsletter where you can get regular updates on what's happening in NASCAR. I think we all feel the energy and buzz around NASCAR, and I feel like now is the perfect time to expand what we're doing and offer you, the fan, information and news you can't find anywhere else. I'm really excited about what the future holds for NASCAR and this channel, and look forward to you going along with me on this journey. Alright guys, that's it. Thanks as always for watching the channel. If you liked what you saw, please let your NASCAR buddies know what we're doing here at Beatin' and Bangin'. And if you want to read more stories like this video, be sure and check out my stories on sportscasting.com. See the link in the description. Hope to see you in the next video, and have a great rest of your day.